What is going on, my friends, and welcome back to another video on the channel. Well, in today's video, we are actually going over Luna Classic as it's had some big news come out recently that I think is finally starting to drive some positive momentum in its direction. Now, over the last few months, I haven't really talked about Luna Classic that much, just because I told you all I'd like to see it develop. I would like to see things happen that bring a little bit more of a realistic outlook for the future to the project. And so now that we are finally starting to see that happen, do look out for possible Luna Classic videos to come every now and then. But with that said, what I wanted to talk about and focus on today was, of course, this nice little breakout that we saw yesterday. Talk about what caused this and why things are somewhat looking positive for the future of Classic going forward. So, of course, we saw here that Luna Classic since roughly June 30th, so a little bit over a month, had been in this descending wedge. It had been following this pattern pretty consistently, retesting topside resistance on multiple occasions, but of course, failing to break it. Now, once we finally did break it, we have come back to see a bit of a back test of support before eventually pulling back up towards this key zone of resistance between about 11.8 and 11.2. Okay, now why did this happen? Okay, why did we get this nice little pull to the upside, even though it is being eaten up at this point? Why did we get this breakout, and what positivities am I talking about? Well, what I want to focus on specifically is the two pieces of news from the team, of course from the TERRA Rebels team, about 33 projects actively migrating to the Luna Classic chain, and the fact that we are now seeing this governance bill passing, in which we will see that burn, or the distribution of the code to burn and enable staking will be going live. Of course, we did see the passing of this. Okay, so let's start with this one. Why is this important? Well, we can see here, it says more amazing news from the TERRA Rebels team. There are currently 33 projects actively migrating to Luna Classic chain. Now, this was based off of this information provided here. It said project migration. We have 33 projects in active migration status or near completion. When the TERRA Rebels website goes live, we will have a dedicated section to all projects that have migrated successfully or are in the progress of migrating and have been verified and approved by the project migration team. Please stay tuned for more information at a later date. Now, of course, this is important because we saw that many different projects left Luna, left the whole entire idea of Luna in the past, and that, of course, was very detrimental to the activity on chain, right? And of course, whenever you have a token, one of the biggest aspects of your blockchain is that you need things actively running on the chain so that you do keep a thriving ecosystem as well as high volume, which helps generate, demand, supply, and all of these good things. Of course, once we saw the big event of earlier this year, that of course did drive many different projects off the platform. And so the fact that they are now starting to come back definitely shows that maybe that little bad taste in people's mouth may be going away a bit, or this community has finally created an environment that is welcoming the other projects. Now, of course, as these projects do go live, that will help a lot, but it won't, it won't help as many people do believe, right? So whenever you think of ADA Cardano, right, we know it is very big that smart contracts went live because projects can launch on ADA and then use the launching on ADA to drive volume to the ADA Cardano token itself. It does work in the same way with Luna, but one of the reasons that is more important as to why these 33 projects and further projects will be migrating over and developing on the blockchain is actually because of the fact that, again, we are going to see the distribution of the code to burn and enable staking, of course, as we can see here. Now, why is that important? Well, one thing we have to understand is the fact that the big crash, the big problem with Luna Classic is the supply, right? I mean, it's pretty obvious to everyone. That's what caused the big fall, and that's the only thing that could cause some type of growth is to handle that problem. If you have a huge catalyst causing a fall, you need to work on that catalyst to create some type of growth, right? And so what we can see here is that as they do go through with this proposal, in which is a little bit over 1% of all transactions on chain will have a burn tax implemented. And so this, of course, isn't everything. Again, this is specifically on chain. But what's important is that these 33 projects that are now going to be migrating onto the Luna Classic chain will then, of course, be susceptible to that it's a little bit over 1% of a tax on it, in which will go to help burning the token itself. So as we now are driving volume through these projects on chain, that is going to then work hand in hand with this percentage burn, which is then going to finally start to work on getting some of those bigger burns down and to finally allow this token to work on its supply. And of course, as we do with decreased supply, with about a stable level of demand inherently, and of course economically at least, that does typically drive prices upwards. Now, there are many other things and factors that go into it. Of course, if the market crashes, Lunar Classic will too. But of course, at the core, when we're talking about value, it is very good to see that we are finally getting implementations that will help against the supply. That is the big deal, and that is why many people are excited. Now, of course, going forward, this is no guarantee that it will succeed, of course, right? We have to understand that many people do still have that bad taste in their mouth, and there are many people who are not going to support this project just because of its history, and that's fine. That's totally up to them, and that's okay. But what we have to understand is that if this thing is going to have a chance, if it is going to see growth, it will only come from the fact that it gets the supply down, it increases its total transactional volume on chain, and then it would be helpful, if CZ does follow through with his idea or follow through with his words of possibly being open to seeing a burn on Binance itself. Okay, so going forward, it is going to be completely reliant on the idea of getting the supply down, and they are taking the right steps to get there, which is what I believe the reasoning is for why we did see some growth here. Now, of course, when it comes to pure price action, it doesn't look the best in my opinion. Whenever we see a big breakout like this followed by almost an immediate reversal, that tells me that the supply and the liquidity up here is very limited, right? Many people are just selling. The buying pressure at these levels is clearly not really too strong. It's not stronger than the sell pressure, as we have run into resistance between, again, 11.8 and 11.2. And so what I would say is that if I was basing this on a purely technical analysis, I would definitely just kind of relax right now. I wouldn't be going too big. I wouldn't be buying substantially, simply for the fact that we're struggling to clear this zone. And whenever we have key levels of resistance of this nature that are completely rejecting us, more often than not, we will see continuous sideways movement or some type of pullback to the downside. And so for that reason, until we clear 11.8, I wouldn't be doing anything too dramatic, personally speaking. Okay, but with that said, that's going to be about it for the update on Luna Classic today. And of course, I hope you guys did enjoy. Now, this isn't something that I'm going to do an everyday update on. I don't want to give you guys the wrong opinion on that, but I do want to bring a little bit more information on Luna Classic. You guys have been asking me about it a lot, especially in the comment sections, especially over at my Discord. And so for that reason, I will update you when anything substantial does happen that I think can affect the outcome or the future of the project. And of course, if that is interesting to you, of course, just simply smash that like button and subscribe to the channel if you do want to see any more videos from me. And with that said, I will see you all next time. Peace.